The practice of sacred and devotional art is disappearing worldwide. In India, it still thrives after centuries in skilled artistic hands that find contemporary expressions or follow ancient traditions. It's almost impossible to define what devotion is. I think there are many layers and many strands to it. Hopefully somewhere along this film you'll see different strands and you'll have to make up your own mind as to what that means. It's a process that slowly elevates you as an artist and the work that you're doing. So somewhere along the line you meet. And you meet in a different space, in another space. And I guess that's what we call the sacred. I guess that's what we call devotional art. The nearest I ever got to actually understanding what a sacred art is and what a devotional art is in the Maharas Leela, the painting behind me. From huge pitchwide paintings to minute miniatures, visually vibrant Rajasthan has long been home to devotional art, sustained by the religious belief of its people and the living Guru Shishya Parampara, families handing down skills and ideas through generations. So we come to Nathdwara, the temple Haveli of Srinathji, the home of the Pitchwai tradition. Pitchwais are large cloth hangings. They're made in the same way as a miniature painting, just on a vast scale. I mean, it's pretty much a replica of what would have been made 200 years ago.
If a painter of 16th century is making a painting and I have to replicate that painting, that is more typical because I have to be that painter. I have to be that painter in my mind. This is a typical family tradition thing. Yeah. It's a typical Karkhana type of thing and which helps a lot for the next generation.
Because they have to learn. And now we come to the house of Reva Shankar Sharma, one of the most senior and certainly the most celebrated miniature painters living today. And this is a typical scene in a typical studio throughout Rajasthan. There's Reva Shankar and his son Yogesh.
वो एक आराधना है, वो एक आध्यात्म, वो मेरे एक मन की एक सोल की एक आवाज़ है. गणेश गणेश नहीं है, वो गणेश ऐसे नहीं है कपड़े पहने हुए गणेश. उसमें मेरी एक फीलिंग है, मेरी एक भावना है. उनको स्मरण करके, उनको याद करके मैं वो चीज़ बनाता हूँ. तो उसमें कहीं न कहीं गणेश का एक रूप आता है.
The decorative architecture of Rajasthan has traditionally displayed sacred and devotional art in a manner that is both integral and integrated.
मिनीचर के लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है रेखा और लाइन से ही उस चित्र की भाव प्रकट होते हैं उससे.
कभी-कभी सोचता हूँ मैं कहाँ तो ट्रेडिशन, बिल्कुल प्योर ट्रेडिशन, और कहाँ उसके बाद में फादर की टीचिंग लाइन कंटेम्प्रेरी आया. उसके बाद में फिर मेरा नंबर आया तो मैं भी उसमें और आगे बढ़ा और शायद मेरे से भी आगे कपिल 10 कदम आगे है.
Kapil Sharma explores digital graphic horizons on the bedrock of a family tradition of devotional art.
I used to study here when I was a child, and my grandfather used to sit there. Yeah. So for me till date, like I feel as if he's watching me.
The search for the Guru Shishya Parampara in devotional art took me from Rajasthan to Tamil Nadu, and its capital Chennai, the home of India's most widely reproduced icon painter, Mani Velu.
I am the 9th generation. My father is a temple builder and car maker. He will draw the paintings. Now from him I got only the paintings only.
What's the most important aspect of your painting?
The paintings is what I saw from the deity. I am drawing that paper on the moment.
Mr. Ritter, you're from West Virginia, USA. How did you get here?
My parents, who were devotees from ISKCON, I was stuck between a decision of leaving art school and taking the risk of just going to India and finding the teacher.
And who did you study with?
I studied with a man named Mr. Tirunyanam. The first thing my teacher told me, though, is that you have to change your hand. The way that you're used to drawing has to change completely.
Is there prayer involved in the stages that you work in, or how?
For me, art is kind of like my kind of worship.
The home of the American-born Datva Tagore in the heart of Bengal was a step away from Kolkata, with its massive Durga Puja celebrations every year, to witness devotional art with a difference, in the work of sculptor, painter and installation artist Shonatan Dinda.
দুর্গা প্রতিমা বিনির্মাণ করেছি, একটা উৎসবমুখর প্রাঙ্গণ তৈরি করেছি, একটা প্যান্ডেল তৈরি করেছি। প্যান্ডেল মিন্স একটা অ্যাম্বিয়েন্স তৈরি করেছি। অল ওভার ওয়ার্ল্ডে সবথেকে বড় সাইট স্পেসিফিক ইনস্টলেশন এই দুর্গাপুজো, এটাকে আমরা প্রতিষ্ঠা করে ছাড়ছি এবং ছাড়বো।
The iconic Kaligat Pat paintings of Kolkata survive today only with Kalam Patwa.
আমরা তো পটুয়া পরিবার না, আমার মেজো কাকা করতেন, আমি পট আঁকাটা আমি ওনার কাছ থেকে শিখেছি। 1930 সাল নাগাদ শিরিষ চিত্রকর বলে শেষ কালীঘাট পট যিনি করতেন, তিনি মারা যাওয়ার পর কোনো পটুয়া এটা নিয়ে আর কাজ শুরু করেননি। আমি একজন পটুয়া হিসেবে আমার পূর্বপুরুষ এই কাজটা করেছে, তো আমার একটা দায়িত্ব যে এটাকে আমি বাঁচিয়ে রাখি। এই কাজটা এক গুরুমুখী বিদ্যে, মানে কেউ না শেখালে কাজটা ঠিক শেখা যায় না, এমনই টেকনিক। কিন্তু আমি তো কোনো গুরু পেলাম না শেখার জন্য, তো আমি সাধনা আমার নিজের শুরু করলাম। আজ কানায়া কদম্ব মূলে যারে নাগরী আরে থানা, বনের বনফল তোলে কৃষ্ণের গলে বনমালা, আজ বৃন্দাবনের তরুলতা এড়ে বেড়ে যায়, ললিতা বিশাখা দুজন চামর ঢোলায়।
The temple town of Sri Kalahasti in Andhra Pradesh drew me to the surviving tradition of ancient kalamkari on fabric.
This technique is very old, maybe more than 3,000 years. When the Mahabharata period, from that time they also use these techniques, I think. But we had to prepare the pen, kalam. With the
So
bamboo
this is where
stick.
the name kalamkari
Yes,
comes
kalam,
from.
yes.
It means pen.
Here we done with the calligraphy. That calligraphy became peacock, and itself became a tree, itself became a flowers like that.
From classical kalamkari to the folk, my travels to India's heartland brings me to the paintings of the Gond tribe. The paintings are really more about the Padhan community.
चाहे प्रकृति से संबंधित हो, चाहे जानवरों से संबंधित हो, वो हमारे लाइफ के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। प्रकृति के साथ पेंटिंग का जुड़ाव और उसी को लेकर के ही चित्रण करते हैं, बल्कि हमारे जीवन का जो गूढ़ रहस्य है उसको भी चित्रों के द्वारा प्रस्तुत करते हैं।
जब सत्य पुरुष जब वृक्ष भयेगा काल निरंजन लाल, तीन देवता शाखा भये वो, सत्ता भय संसार नाम।
What changes from a traditional icon to the image that you're working with here?
My practice has been that where how work comes to being is the most important. I did a lot of images of torsos. In the end, when you look at all of them put together, they became kind of icons.
Bangalore is one of the unlikely places where iconography has blossomed, in the work of artist Ramesh Kelkar. Bangalore has also created the Ganga Project, an artistic celebration of feminine consciousness about India's holy river. Tell me about the work that you did.
Creating this kind of meaning and imageries that will speak of Ganga, the Ganga that people, millions who associate with, was very important. Each one of us individually or collectively some point sort of revisited the spots and we did our work, site-specific work there. So when Radha started talking about her experience with Ganga, then interestingly all three started talking about their curiosity and interest towards the river.
Before my engagement with the Ganga became a project, it was really my engagement with the Ganga. I realized that the river is feminine, because feminine is about flow, and the river is me, and I'm the river. The primary engagement is with being, and that is from where all energy stems.
Kabir, a process for you? It was a devotion to process?
It was very much from the outside. I turned my gaze to the realm of religion and faith, and I thought Kabir would be an ally with me in this process. Lali mere lal ki jit dekhun tit lal. The redness of my beloved, wherever I look, I see it. Lali dekhan main gayi, main bhi ho gayi lal. Unless you surrender to something and allow it to permeate you, you will never understand it.
I'm here in the house of Bharti Dayal, the Madhubani painter, a tradition that began in Bihar and transferred with Bharti to Delhi some 24 years ago. Bharti Dayal and the exclusively women's folk form of Madhubani represents the end of another spectrum of devotional art.
This is Ardhanariswar, which is the basic, you can say, the whole Madhubani painting is based on this dualism. The basic symbolism of this painting is the double line. Basically, it is a reality of being dependent on each other, but with the universal truth of every line has its own essence.
To me, the feeling is more connected with what I feel when I'm at the, walking by myself in the Himalayas or exposed to the art and architecture of that place. And whether you use these things in that, what you're trying to say is, you're trying to pass on a vibe, really.
Spiritual ideas and the idea of that realm is that the symbols are floating. They're kind of everywhere.
Some of the work is more, for me, meditative. Some of the work is more tongue-in-cheek, and there was a series of plaques which they were called Meditations on Love.
Devotion, like art itself, is timeless. Through changed expressions, abstractions, motifs, and images, the sacred presides in all its subtlety and strength. The work of octogenarian Saeed Hada Raza, one of the most illustrious Indian painters, is a firm and confident assertion that devotional art remains alive. The ISKCON temple at Vrindavan reminds me of the modern spiritual movement that has rediscovered and revitalized devotional art in India. Now you have this substantial collection of devotional paintings. What drew you to devotional?
I think a combination of my spiritual search in Vaishnavism and in the midst of the Hare Krishna movement, but also my upbringing in the arts kind of came together in this moment in the form of a spiritual arts project, because I think the project is also very much about, interfaith dialogue through the arts.
An initiative of Martin Gurvik, who's himself a devout European Hindu In a sense, it shows the rootedness and the innovation of Indian art. And it brings all these different forms together on a shared platform. Primarily, it was folk and tribal art of India, all very devotional and spiritual in its ethos, the main museum near Brussels, and another branch, a smaller museum in Italy.